The WBLA qualifiers for Zone 5 came to a close yesterday, which saw APR come out on top and they're able to beat REG in the finals. And APR, they are the only unbeaten team and they're able to take REG's O in the finals. And in the third place game, the game that I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about KPA versus Les Hippos. So KPA really struggled, had a rough 3-game stretch. After they had that dominant win against the Gladiators, they fell to APR, they fell to REG, and subsequently leading them to play in the third place game against Les Hippos. So this game against Les Hippos was another, I can say, nail-biting game, and it was one of those games that will have made you lose everything you had, especially with how KPO are playing. They almost blew a 21-point lead at some point, and Les Hippos were almost winning that game, but KP are able to win the game and dominate in overtime. And my God, that was one of those games when I was watching it live, and you could just see there was so much there was so much on the line for both teams, and both teams were holding serve pretty well, especially late in the game when it came to defense. But some few issues on their offense, on both teams' offense, were the key things that I was looking at. So this KPA campaign, especially comes down to like the games that you have seen. So KPA have played a total of 6 games and they've rounded out a record of 4-2. And with that win, they have managed to go ahead and qualify for the actual WBLA, and they'll have a rematch against either REG or APR when they meet, when they are seated or even grouped together. So this was a nail biter, and statistically, my God, there are a couple of things that I saw maybe they will have gone under the radar if I didn't make a video about this. So without further ado, let's just get into it. This game had people at the edge of their seat as KP able to squeak by, and they're able to win this game. And this was that game that was so important, because had KPA lost this game, the conversation would be so different, because I really, really was rooting for KPA to win, and I was happy they were able to win, because last year they lost their third place game to APR and it was embarrassing. They were not able to play in that edition of the WBLA for the 2024 season. But at least one Kenyan team has made it through, and KPA found themselves in that similar position as last year, and they were able to win it. And that matchup against Les Hippos was a critical matchup for KPA's story, because had KPA lost this game, we will have looked differently at KPA, because this would have reinforced my premise that KPA, they're only good at beating below average teams. And I can say Les Hippos were very good. I must say I have to give them credit, because they played very well, especially at the late in the game. Okay, both teams, KPA and Les Hippos, did some atrocious mistakes down the stretch, especially in regards to sending each other to the line, which that was crazy. And Les Hippos had a valiant effort in the fourth quarter, and they were able to limit KPA's productivity to only 16 points in the fourth, while Les Hippos had a quarter high 29 in the fourth quarter, and they were able to tear into that comeback. And at some point, even before the game went to overtime, I honestly felt like this game might have gone the other way. But luckily enough, KPA, even with 2 players fouling out, so Betty Kananu and Masiwanyama foul out in this game, and that created a huge hole at the front court, and that was a big problem. But at least KP were able to go ahead and win this game. That was the most important thing. So shooting wise, both teams did not have an efficient game at all, and KPA Dockers shot at a 34% clip, while the Les Hippos are at 32%. And the thing that kept the ladies in the game of KPA was the shots at the free throw line. So they were able to shoot at 81% clip, which really, really helped at the clutch, because those free throws were the difference. Because had those free throws not gone in, the game would have been Les Hippos to win. and the comeback would have been sealed for Les Hippos, because at that point, Les Hippos did a very good job at cutting the deficit and digging themselves out of the hole. But it was a bad thing for KPA, because had they slipped up more than they slipped up, things would have been different. So on the key statistics, KPA literally dominated in this game. They led in the whole entirety of this game, even at the overtime period. And Les Hippos, this game, it showed that this team, the Les Hippos team, were not a weak adversary. They were very good. I must say, they caused a bit of problems for KPA, even the other teams that they played against. And this is a team that I could say they were a dark horse team, a team that was not looked at with a lot of seriousness, and they showed that they can be able to ball with the best. And KPA, they're the best. They're the best team only in Kenya, but when it came to this tournament, they were top. They were the top three behind APR and Reg. So this game told us a lot, especially when it came to KPA's fight, because had they had the same fight in the RG game, they would have played in the finals, and they would be able to match up against APR, because they made so many mistakes in the RG game to the point where I even lost count, like how many times they turned over the ball. But when it came down to playing this game against Les Hippos, it was a do or die game. And when their backs up against the wall, they show like they really, really wanted to win this game. And although things did not pan out like the way they wanted it to, because it looked like they were sailing to a comfortable win, and that 21 point lead was getting erased. Still, KPA were able to hold their ground, even despite like their issues, especially when it comes to the front court. They really struggle on offense. They were able to do some stuff in there. So that was commendable. It was a good fighting spirit for the KPA side. And if Funanyo Kor did not play, she was listed at DNP on this one. Betty Kananu, in 27 minutes of play, she had 17 points. She was 7 of 14 from the field. And she had 5 personal fouls. So she fouled out the game, and she had 3 turnovers in there to go along her 6 rebounds and 2 assists and 2 steals. So she was a productive piece. At least she showed a bit of productivity, because in the APR and RG game, she was non-existent. In a previous video, I mentioned that she had a donut in there in like 25 minutes of play, which was embarrassing. And that was sad. That was a sad outcome for the previous games, but not this game. But the worst part was the fact that she fouled out the game. Then we've got Aminata Lee. So she had a double-double of her own of 14 points and 15 boards. But the shocking statistic that she led at was turnovers. So out of the 27 turnovers that KPA had, 11 of them came from Aminata Lee. So this was alarming. It was shocking. This was something that you cannot excuse this, because half of the team's turnovers, nearly half of them, came from one player. And it's something that I think is going to cost them when they play against a team that like APR or REG, because when they played against APR and REG, the outcome was when they had turnovers like this, the other team capitalized. They were lucky that Les Hippos were not able to capitalize on this, because had they been able to do that, this game would have gone to the Les Hippos side. So I mean, that was bad. Then Natalie, she was there in 21 minutes of play. And I mean, Natalie, she played damn near like the whole game. She played 38 whole minutes in there. So, and that was crazy. So Natalie, she had a clutch basket that she hit. That was great. So that really swung the momentum to KPA's side. At some point, there was a scoring drought for KPA, and they really needed a bucket to get going. And Natalie, with that corner three, really, really helped. And to go along with her 11 points in there, she had 6 rebounds. Okay, she didn't turn over the ball like that. She was not too productive, especially when it came to the point guard position, because Aminata was there at the point guard. So she didn't have a very good game in there. She was 0 for 6. She was 0 for 3, 0 for 3. I'm talking about Aminata Samaseku. I hope I'm not butchered her name. So there are 2 Aminatas. So Aminata Lee and Aminata. So Aminata scored all her baskets from the free throw line, so she was not able to uh, hit a field goal. So that was crazy, and she was one of the I've put her as among the most reliable pieces at the point guard position, but still she was coming off a game where she was injured a bit in that REG game, so she really did her thing, and her ability to draw fouls and get to the line really sealed the win for KPA. Then we have Alima Doumbia. She in 43 minutes of play, she had 15 points. She was 5 of 13, and she was one of the I can say scoring options for us because some of the shots that she was taking and the shots that she was making really helps KPA's offense in there, and she's proven to be a valuable piece. Okay, sometimes she has her moments where she's good, and sometimes she has her moments when she's bad, but still, at the end of the day, a win must happen. Then Yvonne Okello, in 28 minutes of play, she had 10 points. She was 3 of 7, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. She has 4 personal fouls. Also, Daisy had 4 personal fouls. So this was a crazy situation to see players with still playing heavy minutes, and they have four personal fouls there. So at any time they will have left the game. Then Masiwanyama there at the front court, she really struggled in this game. Even she fouled out in this game with her 5 fouls, and it was an overall crazy game. And KPA were lucky to be able to eke out this win because had they lost this one, it would have been game over. So Lauren Sabine for the Les Hippos team, she had 20 points. She was 6 of 18, and she had 8 rebounds to go along with her 20 points. She was good in there. Multiple players from the Les Hippos had 10 points or more in there. Brittany Nicole, Nicole Collins, Judith Hamill. They were those players that really carried the Les Hippos team to the end, but it was not enough to stop KPA. So this game, this was a crazy one, and it will go to show you. This game will explain and just show us what lengths KPA were willing to go to be able to qualify, because they had a shot at the semis to make it to the finals. Now, even if they lost in the finals, they will have still notched the position and been in a position to have already qualified, because teams that already made the WBLA finals qualified, and it was an all-round affair. Reg, APR qualified, and they are all in to play in the WBLA. So in the third place game, which was the most crucial for KPA, this was their last shot, because if they didn't win this, they were out until next year. So everything was all on the table, all the chips on the table, and they made sure to win this game. So I give them full credit on that, but a lot of work needs to happen so that you can able to realize better performances down the stretch for KPA. So KPA, they're an interesting team. I can even say the women's team are an interesting group, because in the game that they were required to show up, especially in that game against APR, they were not able to. I can say again, give credit to APR. They had a superior bench, they had a superior roster as compared to KPA. And also, if you look at that reg game, you will see that the reg team did not have a good game versus KPA, but they were able to still win. And this all goes to show you the type of coaching staff that both Reg and APR have is superior to what we have here with KPA, because when you look at even like the bench is not involved. There are poor player rotations. The coaching staff is oblivious to what they're supposed to do, especially when it comes down to roster management and roster rotations, because you cannot have a single player playing heavy minutes in there, relying on them solely. And I know it's all about winning, but also the starters need some time to be able to rest, and the bench unit and the bench mob still has to be involved in their game. So I dare say there's a lot of work that needs to go into fixing KPA's offense and defense, because the foul bug has really crept in, and also the turnover bug. You see, Aminata Lee, her play in the front court was not the best. She did not produce top quality against far much superior opposition when it came to APR and Reg. But if you look at Les Hippos, she had a double-double, but still that 11 turnovers was the worst thing to ever happen. And the crazy thing is with even the defense, you could see the players that are quote unquote supposed to be reliable for us. Masiwanyama, she fouled out. Betty, she fouled out. I mean, we had too many players fouling, and when we have like the group of players that the coach relies on, they're not able to play. It's a big L for KPA because when they match up against a team that has the ability to beat them easily, they can be able to take advantage of that. Because when I watched the game and I saw that foul that Masiwanyama committed, you could see it really costed the team, and it really helped erase the deficit because it was just foul and free throws. It was most of the points at the late in the fourth quarter was foul and free throws that subsequently led to that game heading into overtime, and the lead would have been erased. The Les Hippos made some mistakes that really helped KPA, but those things will not happen every single time because now, because KPA are headed to the actual WBLA, they'll have another swing or rematch against either REG or APR when they meet in the group phase. So this whole idea, and it comes down to their coaching staff, they need to go ahead and go back and see the film, look at what can they do differently, because the teams kick it up a notch when they play in the actual WBLA, as I have noticed, because you might think that this team is able to beat it here in the WBLA qualifiers and you think the same strategies will work, and you will see that these teams will keep improving and teams will be able to retool, because even the wins that KPA have been able to get, they have still not beaten the teams that have qualified, because they have a 4-2 record, but that 4-2 record looks good on paper, but that doesn't tell the whole story, because if you look at the teams KPA have beat, they didn't qualify. And the teams that qualified, APR and REG, they are in the WBLA, and KPA struggled to beat them. So APR are a team that is superior, and they finished the 6-0 record, and REG with a 5-1 record. And those are the only two teams KPA couldn't beat. So the big question is, what can KPA do differently to be able to have a quality roster to be able to go ahead and not even qualify, but challenge them? Because they're already qualified and it's the next phase. So APR have been owning KPA for the longest time, especially dating back to last year. And at some point, you could see the rebuild process for both these two teams have been different, because if you look at the year 2022, 2023, 2024, and this present day, you'll see that there's been an evolution of how the KPA players play and the way they retool, and also how vis-a-vis the other teams that go ahead and retool. Because if you look at it, you'll see APR are not as strong like 3-4 years ago, or REG are not as strong 3-4 years ago, because the REG team were being owned by KPA 2 years ago. But this year, you could see every single year, ever since 2023, the Rwandese teams have been evolving, and they have been making quality signings. And I'm not sure if KPA are able to match up with them easily. I mean, there's still time to be able to change things, but how much can you change? Because the roster is not good enough, especially the new signings, because it's not a matter of KPA just signing players. Who are you actually signing? Because if you look at even the other teams in the WBLA, you're seeing like some very big transactions happening. You're seeing some quality being signed. But the players that KPA are going for, especially in the free agency market, is really not adding value to the roster. Well, maybe they can be able to switch it up. But with the current roster they have, they will really, really struggle, because they're going to meet the best of the best teams. They're not able to beat the best teams in Zone 5, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to go ahead and beat the other teams that are there. I mean, a win can happen, a loss can happen, but at the end of the day, it's championship or bust for KPA. Because the last time the KPA Dockers were there in the AWBL, they made it all the way to the finals, and they're able to beat REG at that time. So will it happen again? Can we be sure that KPA can be able to go ahead and do and do significant damage in there. I mean, with the current roster and the way they are playing, I mean, the only thing that maybe they can change is the coaching staff because the coach is clueless. I mean, I feel like this unit could be able to beat Reg, or be able even not only beat Reg but also pose a challenge to APR. But the coaching is the worst. Coach Ojuku has failed this team, especially when it comes to rotations and the plays in the half court, because the complacency of KPA and them just playing, run and gun is what has ruined this team. Because if the run and gun and the quick transition offense that they get and leveraging on poor defense is exploited on these teams that are below like the top teams, they're able to beat them. But they match up against a team that has very good defense. They're able to take care of the ball at the transition. They can be able to stop it, and they force KPA to play the half court and have some good sets that can be able to manufacture quality shots. That's where KPA really struggles. So yeah, I mean, I've taken my time to go ahead and even rewatch the game, just have another perspective and I have a good understanding of what I'm talking about in there. But all in all, I'm glad to see KPA make it to the WBLA. I mean, those two games against APR and Reg were rough. I mean, those were games that I feel like KPA would have done better. And even if they didn't win, but the way, even if they didn't win, they would have at least looked better in them, as opposed to just losing them in the fashion that they did. If they had a very good game plan and understood the type of opposition they are going to go and play against. So I mean, it is what it is. So this has been a long spiel. I mean, I'll come back with a video talking about the player ratings and also the other teams, just reflect upon that. And I mean, I've been optimistic, especially when it comes to the Kenyan teams in continental showdowns, and also I'll talk about ZTech maybe. Do drop me a comment in the comment section down below if you want me to talk about ZTech, because I have a lot of things to say there. And yeah, man, I'm out. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out.